people want to get out of it. It didn't rain, they were going to come, people will come anyway, no matter what. Yeah, this one here.
Double.
Yeah, yeah.
Double.
Can I have everyone's attention, please? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Township Council Candidate Forum. At this time, please, everyone, let's stand up and do the flag salute. The flag is in front. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to thank Vince Montagna and Rich Garcia of the Republican Club and Committee, also David Garrick and Emil Sudol of the Saddlebrook Democratic Club and Committee. I want to thank Nikki Bach, who's here with the nice orange, I guess that's an orange.
It's orange.
Looking
It's Halloween.
blazer. And also Kathy Mick from the League of Women Voters. And I want to thank them for moderating tonight and for helping us out and helping organize this forum. I also want to thank my secretary, Christine Generario, and all the volunteers that are helping out tonight. Also, our township IT person, Alex Mendez, and our township videographer, Rafael Gonzalez of En La Cosa Video, for doing the videotaping, which is being live streamed as we speak. At this time, I want to introduce some distinguished guests. We have with us Council President Paul Mazur, Councilman David Garrick. We have former Mayor Louis Darminio. We also have former Councilman Omar Rodriguez with us here tonight. So now to the main event, which is, I'm going to introduce the candidates. From the Republican side, we have George A. Cedeno Jr. and Gerard Jerry Taylor.
Thank you.
From the candidates on the Democratic side, we have incumbent Councilman Todd J. Accomundo and council candidate Sarah A. Sanchez. So before we get into it, I just want to say one thing, a little advice to the candidates. Don't try to be any more impressive than you already are, because you're worthy of being, each one of you is worthy of being up here, and I give you a lot of credit for just even putting your name out there and running for public office. Not too many people do it, so you're in an elite group. So I'm going to turn it over to the moderators now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to stand just for my intro, and then I'll be seated to function as a moderator. I wanted to let you know that this, what the League of Women Voters does and is, and it is a nonpartisan, political, nonprofit organization that works to empower voters and defend democracy. Founded more than 100 years ago, we protect voting rights and support citizen participation. We do not endorse candidates or parties, hence our nonpartisan part. This forum is devoted to hearing from the candidates and to ensure that the forum is as informative and efficient as possible. We ask that you abide by the following. Audience questions should be submitted on cards. We already have a number of them, so if you need more, or as you're listening to things, it occurs to you, Christine right up front, you probably will know her, so come to her for a card and write down your questions and pass it on up here. Audience questions and candidate remarks must follow league policy of being concerned with issues, not personalities, and so far I don't see any inappropriate ones up here. But if they are, we will not be saying them. The responses are timed. I'm happy to have Joseph be our timer here, and Christine will hold up signs, so 30 seconds remaining is as a warning, and stop means stop. All electronic devices should be turned off. Neither the candidates nor their supporters or anyone in the audience other than the league designee may photograph or record this forum or edit or use excerpts from the official recordings for use in your campaigns. Everyone may share the link to the forum in its entirety. So that we move along in the time allotted, we ask that you hold your applause until the end. Each candidate has been invited to make an opening and a closing statement, and then we'll start with 2 questions that the candidates were given previously, some of which they may have covered in an opening statement. So, and we'll allot about 60 minutes or so to your questions. Right now, for the amount we have here, I'm sure we can get through. Okay, so the candidates drew for order of speaking, and we will start with George Sedano with your opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. My name is George A. Sedano Jr. I would like to thank everyone for attending this forum, the viewers that are live streaming right now, the mayor and your staff for getting everything set up. Thank you. So I've served in the Marine Corps for over 13 years and just recently retired after 20. With 2 combat deployments, moved to this beautiful town, Saddlebrook. And this town has given me everything and has allowed me the opportunity to grow. And therefore I want to give back to this town, and is the reason why I put my name in the hat this year to run and to serve the public of Saddlebrook and to be your #1 resource in everything that involves politics and government. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Come on, go.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to the league for having this forum and getting everyone together. I've been a Saddlebrook resident now for 20 years, along with my wife, my 2 boys. I've been a councilman. This is my 8th year as councilman. Of course, I'm going for my 3rd term. Right now, I'm employed with the Bergen County Sheriff's Department for 18 years. 14 of those years, I've been with the Community Relief Center. And my role with that is I am the ramp and special projects coordinator for the county, where we provide handicap ramps and help towns out with keeping their costs low and providing a better quality of life to their residents as well as Saddlebrook's. 12 of those years I've been on the Honor Guard, which I absolutely love to do. That's just my way of giving back for the officers before us. And it's sad at times, but it's almost like a celebration of them going on, and I get the opportunity to do that, and that's something I really enjoy. I'm an active member of the community. I've been coaching on and off for a number of years. My kids are getting older now, so unfortunately my coaching days are numbered, unfortunately, because it's those days that you're really going to miss when the kids are little. I participate in all township organizations. I'm involved with the project and activities, where we help with anything that goes on in town, and it's a great thing for everyone to get together and meet each other. I love this town, and being able to make a difference in representing you, the resident, as your councilman, is a great feeling. So I would like for you to consider me for another 4 years as a representation of Saddlebrook and yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sanchez.
Hi, my name is Sarah Sanchez. I'm a mother of 3 children. I'm a lifelong resident of Saddlebrook. My parents also grew up here. My grandparents lived in town also for about 60 years. I have a long history of, community involvement. I've been volunteering since I was very young. I was part of the Rec Soccer Association. I coached, I was a referee. I also served on the Board of Education for 3 years as a trustee. I am a member of the Ambulance Corps. I have been a member for about 18 years. I've served in multiple officer positions. I'm a youth squad advisor, I've been a training officer, a trustee for the Ambulance Corps. I've done both second and first lieutenant, and I'm also currently, as of recently, captain of the Ambulance Corps in town. I really love this town, and I feel like this would be my next step in giving back to the community.
Thank you. And I think I misnumbered, by the way. in case-
That's all right.
Okay. Please finish up for us, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for arranging this debate tonight. I would also like to thank everyone for showing up on this rainy night that we have. My name is Gerard Taylor. I am a lifelong resident of Saddlebrook. I married my high school sweetheart, Ann, who I met in Saddlebrook High 47 years ago. We have 2 daughters and we have 6 grandchildren. I decided to run for the town council because I believe the time is right for a new voice and new ideas on the council. As President Kennedy once said, ask not what you can do for your country, ask not what your country could do for you, but what you can do for your country. It's been my philosophy through life to give back to my community of Saddlebrook. I coached in town like many other parents, and I am forever grateful to all the coaches who give up their free time. Additionally, I volunteer as a referee for the Special Olympics, which is the Snow Bowl, which is held at MetLife Stadium every March. As a college softball, high school, and Little League umpire, and a high school football official, I see the important role that organized sports plays in a child's life. Through my experience being Director of Recreation for 3 years and the Chairman of the Unico Street Fair and the Festival of St. Philip's, I learned to work well with others, to collaborate ideas that come to a common cause. I was a trustee on the Board of Ed and always based my decision on what is best for the township, for the children of Saddlebrook. As a council member, I will do that also and basically do what is best for the residents and how to move the town forward into the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go to the first question, which you were all given in advance, and we'll start with Mr. Comando. And the question is, for 1 minute, what will be your highest priority as council member?
Well, of course, taxes will be my highest priority. I will continue to work with the mayor, council, and our hired professionals to keep our taxes as low as we can. When I was elected in 2014 along with the mayor, the township had tax appeals from 2007 that were pending. By implementing the rolling reassessment, we were able to significantly reduce those appeals. I plan to keep property taxes from rising while meeting the needs of our residents by continuing the rolling reassessment to minimize taxes. I plan to pursue grants and build on surplus to minimize tax increase for our residents. I also intend to continue our plan to build affordable housing with responsible development. Our township is $5.7 million in surplus and the town has never been such financial stable as it is now. Since myself, the mayor, and council have been elected in 2014. If re-elected, I plan to not take my foot off the gas and ensure the township remains in good standing order. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Segono, same question. What will be your highest priority as council member?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. George Cedino. So my highest priority for the town, first and foremost, is to be the advocate and bullhorn for the residents of Saddlebrook. For far too long, the residents, I feel, and the ones that I've spoken to, have kind of felt that they've been ignored. Issues have been overlooked, and things have been misprioritized. So that would be my number one priority, is to shine a light on what government is supposed to do. And right now, my number one priority would probably be stabilizing taxes and public safety. As of right now, that everyone knows, there's a rise in crime, and that would be my #1 priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sanchez, same question. 1 minute.
So my highest priority is like recreation. It's a big thing for me. I'm very family oriented, so I would like to see, like current playgrounds updated. There's a lot of playgrounds that are kind of falling apart, and I feel like kids really need a place to go and play, be safe. So I would look into updating current playgrounds, maybe trying to find some areas that we can put maybe some parks or, some other stuff for residents, to go and kind of relax and maybe picnic or whatever. I would also like to see maybe a spray park put in or a dog park for our residents. And I would also like to see, more events and town activities geared towards families.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Taylor, want to finish up on this?
Sure, thank you very much. My main priority is to be a voice of the people. Listen to the people and listen to their concerns. Take it to the council and find a solution. So this way, the people are happy, we're happy, and all. Taxes, we gotta keep taxes down. We gotta keep wasteful spending. We gotta have checks and balances for the spending itself. And also, basically, like Sarah says, recreation's big in town and all, but it's basically being a voice for the people. I'll be available 24/7, not a problem, and just be a new voice on the council, which has been the same council for the past 8 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the second question that I sent in advance is going to be for Ms. Sanchez, and it is, what personal and professional experiences do you bring to address these challenges? 1 minute.
So I'm a supervisor at a state agency, so I know how to work with people and I know how to get things accomplished. I'm very determined and hardworking. I did grow up in town, so I do understand the town and the residents in town. I have a bachelor's degree from Montclair State University in justice studies with a concentration in justice systems, and also one in psychology with a minor in justice and families. I'm honest, I'm a team player. Like I mentioned before, I was on the Board of Education for 3 years, and I'm also a member of the Ambulance Corps. I'm a good listener, and I try to find a solution to any issues that may arise. So I just feel like I could use that, and like I said, I do care about the town and doing what's right for the town, so I would try to use my experience and knowledge to put that into effect and just do what's right by our residents.
Thank you. Mr. Ancamando.
The experiences I bring is I'm currently serving as a councilman for 8 years. When I started, I had no experience. I sat up here just like everyone else, no experience. The best experience is on-the-job training. And definitely being in the council has definitely prepared me for those situations. The experience with preparing budgets and contract negotiations for a township is definitely a plus. Experience as an officer, as OEM coordinator in town has also helped me with situations such as flooding issues, infrastructure, and as councilman I introduced a labor program to the township to utilize throughout township properties, not just this township, but 72 townships in Bergen County to beautify the townships and to keep costs down. And being an officer for Sheriff's Department, safety, of course, is my top priority, and I'll continue to do so as your elected official.
Okay, thank you. I think now we move to the questions that came from the public. Or did I forget Mr. Taylor? Too far away from me, Mr. Taylor. Sorry.
That's
Yes.
all right, no problem.
Your qualifications.
Being the rec director for 3 years taught me how to work with people. Also, anybody that knows me knows I do not shy away from any kind of a project whatsoever. I am chairman of the Saddlebrook Unico Street Fair. I was chairperson for the festival. I ran the St. Philip's Festival. I am recreation director for 3 years. I volunteer wherever I can. I always want to give back to my community. My parents taught me to give back, to the community that you grew up in, which is Saddlebrook. I've been here for 64 years and I'm not going anywhere. And you throw something at me, I will find a solution and get an answer back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Sedano, last.
Thank you. George Sedino. So, my personal and professional experiences that I bring to the table. So, I spent 13 years in the Marine Corps and went to combat twice, did a presidential tour, spent 3 years working with the State Department, briefed ambassadors, you name it, director of security, ran budgets. I have a business in town, I'm a father. So those are things that I can bring to the table. Additionally, currently, I'm a supervisory inspector over in a regulatory inspection agency in New York. So I deal with the public all the time. And just having a business in town has actually allowed me to meet all types of people from all walks of life. And I think just being approachable and having access to me is a big plus. And I think will help being a part of the council here in Southwood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now let's go to Mr. Taylor. And I do apologize for mispronouncing. I actually voted that wrong, which is why that was there. Okay, question is, for a 1-minute response, if elected, what 3 steps would you take to put our city on a firmer financial footing? Mr. Taylor.
Firmer financial footing. Definitely look at the budget, all right, and go line by line and see if there's any wasteful spending being spent. You can cut back as far as, you don't want to cut back on the way the economy is nowadays. Everything is skyrocketing, or so you don't want to cut back on your workers' hours, but there might be wasteful spending as far as that goes. Looking for grants within the state, looking for other revenue in the state itself, looking for the federal government to help out, all right? Because nowadays they're so free to give money away. Let some of that money come to Saddlebrook. Help beautify the town. Let the people from Saddlebrook know, that they'll be proud of the town itself. I'm born and raised and I like this town. And it's, and I gotta stop. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. And also, I want to just say, if you don't want, you can pass, since nothing has been asked specifically of any one candidate, if you'd rather not answer or was already answered, that's fine. And it doesn't look like we have anything for any one candidate, so you can all choose.
Okay, firmer financial footing. Like I said before, Saddlebrook is in the best financial shape it's ever been in its existence. If you look up its history, we have brought Saddlebrook into the 21st century. We have one of the best road programs in the county. Every year we do approximately 7 to 10 roads a year. Our infrastructure, we've had problems in the past, but we've started several years ago, I don't know exactly the number, several years ago, redoing our infrastructure. As far as grants, right now the town has 10 grants outstanding waiting for approval, so we have the best grant writers in the state. So I don't know what more we can do, because there's no wasteful spending in this council or through the mayor's office. There's just no other way to put it. We are not wasteful spending. The town's in the best financial shape it's ever been in. And if you want proof of that, come to a meeting.
Okay, Mr. Now I'm afraid to say it.
No, it's okay. Sedino's fine, man. Yeah, no worries. Sedino, it's okay. All my Hispanic voters out there, Sedino's fine too. So to answer your question, ma'am, first and foremost, I agree with Taylor. 100% audit is the biggest thing, and maybe we could seek assistance from the state of New Jersey, the Office of the State Comptroller. They always come to do audits. We could always reach out to them to see if there's any type of hemorrhaging that we're doing, if we're bleeding out cash that we don't see. Also performance audits, such as developing and implementing internal controls so there is no future waste. Secondly, I would use technology. I would use technology in certain ways that if there's certain type of occupations that are in town that are no longer, would be foreseen as viable, we could use technology to offset that and then hire other individuals, for instance, like in the DPW where we may need an extra hand. For instance, yeah, some of the roads, they're not painted, right? You see some of the roads, the stripes are not painted, some of the things are not getting done. So it may be just like a lack of manpower. And lastly, grants. Grants are a big thing. All right, that's it.
All right, next time you'll pick it up. Ms. Sanchez, same question.
Okay, so, I mean, everybody to my left here mentioned grants. I'm just going to say the same thing, but yes, grants that are available. You know, I would just basically research and find different options that might be available at the time and try to utilize them. And then just find ways to, you know, be cost efficient and remain cost efficient with whatever I can come up with at the time. I'm not gonna pretend like I know too much about it, but I am willing to do the research and put the time in to find ways to make sure that we have a firm financial footing.
Done? Okay, good enough, thank you. Okay, next question to all of you. Do any of you believe the one-party rule in local government is healthy for resolving issues within the township? Don't we need checks and balances? Let's start with Mr. Taylor.
Thank you very much. No, I don't believe one party. We've been one party for the past 8 years. You need difference of opinions. Yes, the one party might argue with themselves up at the council itself, but you need a new voice, you need new ideas. You know, checks and balances, of course, you need checks and balances. This way, there is no way of wasteful spending. That's why, you know, you have your checks and balances itself. But definitely, you need more than one person. It's been democratic for the past 8 years, and we need to have new blood, a new voice, and new ideas coming up to the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sanchez.
Okay, so, I kind of feel that regardless of your party, you know, everybody brings their own ideas and their own views to the table. So regardless of whether you're Republican or Democrat, you know, you all come from different places. So everybody has a different view. And as long as everybody's willing to listen and talk to each other and keep an open mind, I don't think it matters what party is sitting up there.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sedano.
I do believe that one-party rule, after a while, could become problematic for the simple fact that once you have decisions being made at the state and national level, those things transcend and could become somewhat problematic locally. If the party line has to toe one way and a decision is made and it's not popular in town, the leadership in the town, because of your one party, and you have to toe that line, you may sacrifice your own residents to keep your party happy. And therefore, I disagree with one-party rule. And I'm all about dismantling the one-party rule here in town, and we do need different perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Comando?
I don't believe in the one-party rule. I believe if you have a voice, you should be heard. And just to clear up something, it has not been for the past 8 years, one party. It's been for the past 4 years. We did have a Republican that did switch parties in the middle of his term, so it's 4 years. The thing you need to do is you need to hire professionals that have not only your best interests, but the township's best interests also. And that's the way to keep costs. And I'm also a believer in extending the hand across the table. I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat. If you're going to do the right thing, you're going to do the right thing. I don't care what party affiliation you're with. And listen, it's a difference of opinions for a lot of people. Everybody has different views. Am I as harsh as the Democrats on the far left? I'll tell you right now, absolutely not.
Oh, okay, thank you. And next question. a lot of these questions are, well, you'll see if they get too overlapping. As a candidate, what are you going to do to bring business to Saddlebrook? So it's a specific one, and we'll start with Mr. Sedano.
So being a local business owner here in town, I'll be honest, one of the hardest things to do was open up a business in town. So things aren't as streamlined as they should be. On the website, there's really nothing there that could explain, hey, if I'm an entrepreneur and I want to start business, how do I do that in town? So what I recommend is just basically giving information to residents and saying, here are the steps, these are the websites, these are the links in order to form your business. Hey, you need to go to the building department and you need to do this, you need to do that. Just kind of streamline it, because it's not. And there also needs to be certain, maybe be creative with certain tax incentives or plans in order to entice and bring other businesses in town.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Alcomando.
Well, probably the best thing you can do is, like George has said, is word of mouth is the best thing you can do to bring business to the township. Because a lot of people are afraid to open a business. They don't know the proper protocols to open a business. And I'm not sure if this is correct enough, but maybe having a chamber of commerce in town could also help bring small business. And I really don't know too much on other than just word of mouth, and business will be good. As far as a tax incentive, I believe that's what started the whole tax appeal process in the beginning. You get those companies come in for a low amount of taxes. Next thing you know, residential taxes go up, residential property taxes go up because you're lowering or you're benefiting commercial taxes. So I don't know if that's a good idea, but I definitely agree with word of mouth to bring small business back to the township.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Taylor.
I know in the past, we used to have a Chamber of Commerce, but it went off to the wayside. So maybe reestablishing that within the town itself. Tax incentives, yes, you know, to bring business in. But like I said, like the two previous gentlemen before me, word of mouth is a big thing. If a company's doing good within your town, they're more than happy to go out and tell other people about it. You know, you could advertise you have space. You know, as a realtor, you could advertise a space, you know, that's available in your town. And, you know, basically, Chamber of Commerce, I think they should bring that back, because that would in turn include the county and everybody else. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Are you in favor of the project labor?
Wait, you missed one. You want this one?
Oh, I'm getting ready to finish. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay, sorry. I don't have much to say about it, but possibly, you know, advertising on social media and, you know, putting ads in newspapers and just putting maybe general information on our website about it, and possibly promoting current local businesses to encourage other businesses to also want to be a part of our town.
Okay, thank you. Apologies. Next question. Are you in favor of the project labor agreement ordinance in Saddlebrook? So I don't know if you know about this, how many of you might know about this, but I was going to start with Mr. Taylor.
To be honest with you, I don't know what the project labor agreement is.
And we don't have, this isn't a discussion opportunity, so we really can't ask for anything.
Right.
So that's fine. Would any of you like to respond?
Sure, I would. Well, as of right now, we don't have a project labor agreement, but we were just recently endorsed by the labor unions. As a union member myself for 26 years, it's definitely something that was talked about the past week that needs to be addressed. And I believe before the end of this year, we were having a meeting with the labor unions to come in so they could explain to the residents what a project labor agreement is. So before I elaborate on it, I'd rather them come and speak on it, because they might have different views than I do. And sorry, that's it.
30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds? Oh, no, and that's, and of course, I would be in favor for it as a union member. Like I said, I was a union carpenter in the Brazilian flooring local, and now PB Local 134, so I am for the labor agreement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, unless anybody else.
I also have been a member of the union for a long time now, so I am definitely in for project labor agreements. What they do is they basically control construction costs and ensure efficiencies in time and materials with completions of projects. They standardize wages and benefits for all workers, and they help protect workers' health and safety. So I am definitely in favor of them.
Okay, thank you. Next question. The township just spent $28 million on a municipal complex. Do you feel there should have been a referendum question on the ballot? And then how do you feel about the school referendum, in favor or not in favor? Now, of course, we know this is not, we're not candidates for the Board of Ed, but maybe you can address the first part of it. Ms. Sanchez?
As far as speaking on whether the municipal complex should have gone for a referendum or not, I really can't speak too much on that. I wasn't on the council when they decided to go with the decision of not to put it for a referendum. Me personally though, I have always been in favor of having a municipal complex, more so the rec center. Since I was younger, I've always felt like we should have a recreation center in town, and I do like that with the municipal complex, all of our different town offices and stuff are in the same building. So I think that's nice. It's easier for the public to get to and everything. I just, I do agree with it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Taylor?
As far as, for years now, my opinion, when the police department was built, they should have just knocked down all the buildings and made one big building and done it then. But yes, it is nice to consolidate everything through. It should, I think it should have went to as a referendum to the people. Let the people decide, all right, whether it should be built or not. But again, our departments were spread out throughout the town. Now we're consolidating everything is. And like Sarah says, the recreation never had any place for the kids to go to, but now they'll have some place to go and be together and socialize. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Alcomando?
Of course I was in favor for the municipal complex. And when you're elected by a majority of the voters in Township, you're their voice. You're their decision maker. They put faith in you to do the right thing. So as far as the referendum goes, technically I don't want to seem harsh, we don't have to go out to a referendum because you're elected to make those decisions for the people. And if it went on a referendum, people have a different perspective. This has been talked about for, I want to say, over 60 years that this needed to be done. We did it at the right time, the right people, for the right price. And as far as like with taxes first go, your taxes are done. Your taxes paid for that building already. There's no more tax increases for the building that sits right down the street. So as far as that goes, I was in favor for it. It's the best thing this town has ever done as far as construction, and we are now going to be into the future with it.
Thank you. Mr. Sagano?
It's a done deal. It's already happened. However, I would like some more transparency and oversight the next time there's ever such a major project. I think for a town to swallow 28 million, it's a tough nugget. That's a lot of money for our small town. So in order to protect any type of cost overruns, any type of fraud, waste, abuse, or corruption that can happen with a project that large, I just feel the town needs to do, as a council, and I would, once I'm up there, to have more oversight and to allow people open the books and show where every single penny is being spent. And for the school referendum, I just want people to know whether you are for or against it, that there will be, on the ballot, whether it be now or December, a new middle school that's wanting to be voted on. And I think that the town should be informed because it could be a potential tax burden on our residents. Biggest thing is transparency and communication. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next question on a different topic. What are your feelings about a marijuana dispensary in town? We'll start with Mr. Akamoto.
All right, well, we went through this last 2 weeks ago. My feelings on this, at first, I know you got, what, a minute? My feelings on this, at first, were no, but I did homework. For medicinal purposes and for opioid purposes, it's a no-brainer. It's gonna bring revenue, and at least, if kids are getting drugs off the streets, it gives a legal way of getting drugs that aren't laced. This fentanyl, it's killing people all over the place. So to get it legalized from a reputable manufacturer, of course I'm in favor for it. I don't want to see some of our hometown kids overdosing from street drugs that they don't know what's charged with. And it's not that kids are gonna go in there. You gotta be over 21, you gotta have a card, so it's not just gonna be anybody could go in, and it's not even approved yet. It's approved from the state, it's not approved from the township yet. Here we passed the ordinance, but there's still background checks you gotta do. We still have to speak about that with the council.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sedano.
Again, it's a done deal. The state of New Jersey, they voted for it, but, you know, we do live in a very progressive left state. Now it's, you know, us as conservatives, how do we manage that in a manner that is not going to disrupt and do the most harm for the town? The way I see it, if I was in town, on the town council, I would have never approved, I would never have voted on 3 licenses for retail, 3 licenses for cultivating, and 3 licenses for manufacturing. Having 9 different licenses for marijuana industry in a 2.7 square mile town, I think is absurd. And the next thing is, okay, we're gonna make money off of it, but show me and show the town where that money is going to. How are we gonna prioritize those funds? Are they gonna go to the ambulance corps that literally has like no money? Are they gonna go to the fire department? Are they gonna go to the police department and need to invest? Where is this money and how and who's gonna decide what's gonna be allocated for what? I think that's most important.
Okay, very good. Ms. Sanchez.
Okay, so I personally don't, I personally, as a personal choice, I do not, like, I am not in favor for marijuana for myself, but as far as having a dispensary in town, from what I understand, is that a majority of our voters agree to legalizing marijuana. So with that being said, I do agree with having a dispensary in town because it will be regulated, or it should be regulated. We have to make sure that as a township and whoever is elected and whoever's on the council should make sure and take the proper steps to enforce regulations. Because if it is regulated, people aren't getting it on the black market where it, like Mr. Accomando said, that it could be laced with something and could hurt people. People who do it are going to do it regardless. This is just a safer way of them obtaining it.
Okay, and Mr. Taylor.
I personally, myself, and it's a done deal, but the town still doesn't know any numbers as far as figures go as what's coming into the town. I personally, I'm against it. I do not believe that you should take your child's safety in place of money itself. Yes, it's going to be regulated and all, but there's still going to be other drugs coming into town. Everything's not going to go through the dispensary itself. Where it is a big, is a big deal also. They're saying on Route 46, because, you're talking residents. You got residents around, and like the other day, Todd will attest to this, they were talking about the smell, within the town itself. But, personally, I was against it, but it's a done deal. But they still have good, the town could do good things for it, keep an eye on it and be able to regulate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next question. How do you expect to lower property taxes when 60% of the budget is the schools? Certainly heard that one before. Starting with Mr. Sedano.
Well, in all honesty, as we know, most of our 60% of our property taxes goes to the school. And there's been an answer where the council and the mayorship, they have nothing to do with the Board of Ed, but if I'm up here, I would need a coalition of parents to try to question each and every day the Board of Ed and see where their spending is and where their money is going. Secondly, we've harped on it before, grants. Grants are a big issue. And lastly, what we need to do is probably advocate to our state senator in the 38th district and our state assemblymen and advocate for more state funding. Because right now, it's pretty much an injustice that the residents of Saddlebrook are the ones that have to burden the cost of education in town.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Sanchez.
Okay, so there's really not much you can do to lower taxes. You can only work on keeping them stable. To lower taxes, you would have to cut services, and we really don't want to cut essential services to lower taxes. But I would try to do my best to make sure that, you know, we at least keep taxes stable and try to come up with creative ways in order to do that, you know, whether it's raising money or searching for grants for other projects, or even putting like a long-term project on hold if we really needed to. If we were, you know, instead of trying to raise the taxes, because I'm not really for doing that, so.
Okay. Let's see, Mr. Taylor.
60% of our taxes are Board of Ed. Being a former trustee of the Board of Ed has contracts that it's a fixed income for them also. You should have a liaison between the Board of Ed and the Town Council. Know what the Board of Ed is going on. Board of Ed wants to come up with a referendum now of $58 million if all 3 questions are passed. I disagree with that. The timing is not right, you know, because of the fact that inflation is going skyrocketing, everything costs so much. I would just table it till next year and try another time. But as far as the you know, taxes, you got it's grants. It's grants, it's funding, fundraisers. You know, you want to give to your first responders who have, you know, basically are working by the skin of their teeth. So you want to raise money and stuff. You got to go to the state. You got to go to federal. They're giving money out to everybody else. They're giving out to the borders. They can give it to Saddlebrook. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Quando.
Like was said up here before, there's nothing you can do as councilman because, or township, because there's 2 separate entities as far as the 60% goes. But what you could do as far as our taxes, well, like I said before, I would definitely like to continue the rolling reassessment. Continue grants. You definitely got to build on the grants and build on the surplus that we have in town to minimize. Use some of that money to minimize the township taxes to help burden, hopefully, the school tax, because there's nothing we as council and township can do to lower school taxes. We are elected to help and keep taxes at bay for township residents. And I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm going to lower your taxes. Nobody's going to lower your taxes. You can stabilize them, freeze them, but nobody can come up here and say, I'm going to lower your taxes. It's not going to happen. That's at any level, upper level. They say, if somebody tells you to lower your taxes, I'll tell him or her to their face, they're a liar.
Okay, thank you. Next question, we're going to start with you, Mr. Cummings,
Nope.
again.
You're right.
I don't think I started you too many times.
Okay.
Which services do you consider mandatory to never cut?
Being in law enforcement, I would never, ever cut our police department. We have a small police department, but we have an effective police department. Do they need help? Absolutely they need help. But our fire department, thank God we have the volunteers we have. Our volunteer fire department is like, I don't know, to me, second to none. And as far as our ambulance corps, listen, they're volunteers. Like Mr. Cedeno said before, they need financial help. They're volunteers. So if there's anything, the town, and we are, I think, one of the first council and mayor to give back to the ambulance corps. We did purchase them new rigs. So yeah, I would definitely not cut emergency services in this town at all. Matter of fact, I think that we need more cops in this town, and we need to help our.
You'll pick that up. Okay. Mr. Taylor?
It's first responders. all right? Your police, your ambulance, and your fire department. Volunteer ambulance and volunteer fire department, great. We got one of the best in the world. You got other neighboring towns are getting rid of their ambulance corps and they're going to an outside service. Then the person's being charged to go to the hospital if he has to go to the hospital. So we don't want that, all right? It's great that the council is getting the new rigs and everything for the ambulance. But let's support the ambulance corps, you know, and all. Our police department, best of the best. We'll always support the police department. I went out and raised, you know, I went out and raised support when they were defunding the police with the signs that said, support your local police. It was nice and general, and we actually sold it to, you know, other towns and everything else. So, you know, to defund the police is ridiculous, ridiculous. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Sanchez?
So, being a first responder myself, I do agree with both Todd and Jerry that, you know, we really, I would not cut emergency services or, you know, any money going towards emergency services because they are our first responders. They are needed in the town. We need our police, we need our fire department. You know, we need EMS. They're there for us when nobody else is, you know, like they see us at our worst, at our very worst, you know, and they're definitely people that we need around and we need to support.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Tadeo, last.
So if there, let's be honest and let's be frank, they always say there's never an honest politician, but I'm not a politician, more of a government manager. So in the time and the need, if we were to ever have to cut services, what I would do is reach out to the other surrounding towns like Elmwood Park, Rochelle Park, Fairlawn, Maywood, and see if we could regionalize mutual aid or some type of shared services so we could lower the cost. Because there's going to be a point where it's going to be unaffordable. You just have to realize it. My number one priority, I would love to create something like North Hudson Regional Fire Rescue here in this side of Bergen County. I would love for the fire department here in Saddlebrook to actually get paid and not just be volunteers. And if we could regionalize, I think that would be an amazing thing to do in the long-term future. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. And I think this is going to be the last question that we've received before your closings. So, and we'll start with Ms. Sanchez. If you get elected, what would be the first thing you would like to improve, try to improve in Saddlebrook? You may have already said something.
Yeah, well, I did already say recreation, because like I said before, recreation is a very big thing to me. I'm not gonna go back into recreation. Another thing besides recreation that I would like to address is flooding. That personally affects me and a whole lot of other people in this town. So anything that we can do to mitigate flooding would also be a big priority of mine, and I would do my best to try to figure out ways that we could do that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sedano.
Repeat the question.
What would be the primary thing you would want to try and improve in Saddlebrook?
To improve would be the opening lines of communication. I've been walking around now for the past 2 months, and one of the chief complaints that I hear people speaking about, especially the new residents that have moved here from New York or Hudson County, is where is everything? I don't know when such and such is going to happen, or this and that and the third. So maybe just improve the way the website looks like. Probably improving payment systems. I know a lot of people complain about having to go in with a physical check to pay the water bill. So if we could just pay that online, that'd be great. But really just opening up the lines of communication and the transparency. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Acamando.
Definitely would be infrastructure to definitely minimize flooding. Work with the county, try and de-snag the waterways, not just the river, but the runoffs in town. A couple years ago, we did it with inmate labor, and that one clean out made such a difference on 5th Street where we did it. But then, of course, it was put by the wayside, and it happened again. So I would definitely work on the infrastructure and try and minimize the flooding. There's nobody going to stop the flooding, but minimize the flooding to a level that we can handle. And so that's it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Taylor?
I gotta agree with everybody else. The flooding itself, you have a little storm and the people on Saddle River Road start to panic because they know that the river's gonna rise. Back when I was a kid, I know the Army Corps of Engineers came down and dredged the whole river. I remember, watching it as a 5-year-old at the time, but that's back in the 1960s. And I know the county's been doing that, but getting with the county, trying to de-snag, like Todd said, of the river itself. All right, the river's so shallow you can walk across from one end to the other. But opening up the drains, cleaning out the drains, cleaning out the culverts. All right, the town council's doing a great job now, especially with the the roads and all. And the drains are a big thing. You have your flooding. Everybody knows the flooding's going to start, especially Midland Avenue, but it dissipates after like a half hour or an hour. So you don't travel the road and then wait for it. But it's basically infrastructure and getting money from the state as usual. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And truly, there is another question. I guess I thought it was more a Board of Ed question, so I was eliminating it, but I'm going to read it. Because I think it's relevant. Coming from a child care position, how do you see us keeping our schools safe? So I think because security is the town responsibility. And starting with Mr. Taylor.
You got your resource officers in schools themselves. They are very valuable. You have your security of the school itself. You have the doors are locked. They got to be buzzed in. But also you have security, but security has to just not open up the door to anybody that comes to the door. Just because they buzzed in doesn't mean that they're going to be allowed. Find out who they are, who they're going to see. Check with the secretary and all. Your resource is your security is the first line of defense and all. But basically it's a big addition. I know they were taken out way back when, but once they get back in, they talk to the kids talk to them. You know what's going on within the town. You could use him or her, whoever's in the school itself, is a good avenue to get points across to the school, to the kids itself. So my #1 priority would be keep the resource officers in the schools, and you have your security, make sure all the doors are locked, and there's a protocol that is followed if anything happens.
Thank you. Ms. Sanchez.
Okay, so, like Jerry did say, there is security in the schools in place. You do have to be buzzed in. So basically that is like your first line of defense. As a backup, we could just make sure that maybe our police department also has a good plan in place. God forbid something does occur in our schools, so that they are ready and prepared to get involved when needed.
Okay, thank you. And Mr.
So in order to improve security, I believe the town has done a pretty good job with the resource officers. One thing that I would probably add is, I know for the past few years, there were these speed humps that were being placed kind of randomly around town. I honestly would probably advocate, if we could, probably put those speed bumps in and around, directly around the schools, because aside from any type of, God forbid, school intruder, it's really a child being hit by a speeding vehicle. So putting those speed humps near schools would be great. And in addition, I would love to see our Saddle Brook PD, if they're not doing it already, run active shooter drills within the schools on the weekend. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
And of course, like I said, training. Not only training our police officers, but training resource officers. And as the Township Council, the Township actually put the resource officers in every school in Saddle Brook and pays their salaries. The mayor and his team did the background checks of all these guys and to ensure the safety of our children. But we don't want to happen what happened in Texas, because it's a shame what happened down there with those officers, how they were afraid to do their job. So like George said, training is #1. Absolutely the biggest thing you could do to help prevent anything like that from happening. And we do training twice a year in law enforcement for active shooters, so, and I know Saddlebrook is involved with that. As far as the speed humps go, we do have speed humps by all the schools for now. They are putting 2 at Franklin School once the pavers are completed with this project. So, but that was a great thought.
Okay, thank you. And now it's time for closing statements. That will be 2 minutes. Very much take it all if you don't need it. And we will start in reverse order, even though I probably got the numbers a little wrong, but I know we're going to start with Ms. Sanchez.
Okay, so I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about politics. I never thought I would be running for council. I just do, like I've mentioned numerous times, that I really do care about the town. I do want to see what's best for the town. I'm not doing this for any political gain. I've been volunteering for over half of my life. I do, like I said, I do care about the town. I care about the residents in the town. My children are in this town. I want to make sure that the town stays on the right track for future generations. And if I am elected, I would be open and honest, and I will listen to what everyone has to say and try to make an educated vote or judgment call when needed. And I will do whatever I feel is best for the township and the Saddlebrook residents. So whether I'm elected or not, I would like to thank you all for your support.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor.
Again, I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for arranging this debate tonight, and also Vince. I would also like to thank everyone else for joining us. At a young age, I was taught to give back to our community of Saddlebrook, and I have and will continue to do so. My experience as a recreation director, the chairman of the street fair, and the chairman of St. Philip's has taught me to work well with others. As Ronald Reagan once said, the problem is not that the people are taxed too little, the problem is that government spends too much. And that is what we must try to curtail, wasteful spending. We must have checks and balances for everything that is spent in the town. If you would be so gracious as to give me your vote, what I would like to do is find grants or revenue for first responders and other programs within our town. Be the new voice of the people. With having 4 generations living in town, I believe I would have a good sense of what's needed in the township of Saddlebrook. My involvement in finding solutions to problems from being recreation director and owning my own business would be advantageous in this position. I once saw a cartoon, it was a Charlie Brown cartoon, and Lucy says to Charlie, "Do all fairy tales begin with once upon a time?" Charlie answers, "No, many of them begin with, if I'm elected, I promise." The only thing that I would promise is to give 150%, be the voice of the people of Saddlebrook. I would not make a statement that I couldn't back up. God bless America. God bless you all. Vote column 1 at the bottom, Gerard Jerry Taylor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Arcamando.
I also like to thank the League of Women's Voters for hosting this event. Thank you for everyone that came out tonight, even though the weather is horrible. As I mentioned earlier, I have been a community servant my whole life. I enjoy giving back. I enjoy being an advocate for the residents of Saddlebrook. Since being elected in office 8 years ago, I've contributed to making Saddlebrook a better place along with the rest of the council for our residents. We improved Veterans Field, increased our surplus while paying down the township debt, new municipal complex, road improvement programs, implementation of inmate labor to keep costs down for township projects. And like George said, 8 years ago I got involved as a concerned parent. I'm still a concerned parent even though I'm part of a party. I don't do the whole political thing where I go pay for dinners and this and that. I'm still the voice I was 8 years ago. I'm not swayed by nobody. I'm not doing this for political gain. Everything I got, I worked for. Everything my wife has gotten, she's worked for. So I've been the same person, not only for 8 years, my whole life. And even with being elected, people say, oh, you'll change, you'll change. I haven't changed, I'm still transparent. I'll talk to you, I'll talk to you, I'll talk to everyone. I may not know sometimes what I'm talking about, but I'm a good ear to listen to. I am committed to continue making Saddlebrook a better place for our residents. Listen, I have kids here, I have family here, I have nephews, nieces. It's not just, you know, something to do. I really take pride in doing what I do. I am committed to ensuring the township remains in good financial standing. I appreciate all your support over the past 8 years.
Finish that sentence.
And I ask for you not just to vote for myself, but to vote for our team. Because as a team, you're stronger. Individuals can't make a decision. It's a team that makes a decision. So I look for your vote. Consider me for your vote, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Last word, Mr. Sedano.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank everyone in attendance, and I want to thank especially number one, God, and my son and my wife. My wife right now can't be here today. She's recovering from surgery, so I'm here and she's home. So that's a sacrifice that the Sedano family partakes at times in serving the public while sacrificing some of the things that are happening personally in your family life. But I'm here to work for the residents of Saddlebrook. I'm not here on a party line per se, or any type of philosophy. I am by heart a Republican and a conservative, but that does not mean that I cannot reach the aisle and speak to someone else with any other political affiliation. My experience is just of everything that I've seen in my short time in life. I am only 37, but I've been around the world twice and over, has given me the ability to communicate with individuals of all walks of life. And I'm here to work for you and your interests. That's it.
Okay, that concludes our evening. I would like to thank the candidates, the hosts, our timekeepers, our questioners.
Can I say something?
Well, let me finish, and then we'll, yeah, thank you. I don't really have too much to say, just that I do thank the audience for coming, especially since it's not a great night, and of course we have all this great ability to watch this at home, not come out. Remember to make your vote count. I am sure everyone in this room will be voting, if not on November 8th, then before. And I also do encourage you to visit Vote 411, which some of you may already know about. I know most of these candidates do, which is a league website that candidates answer our questions. So again, from the comfort of your homes and computers and cell phones, you can look for answers. You'll have to chase down your Board of Ed candidates because they were not nearly as good as the council candidates were to respond to our questions. But I do know that in Saddlebrook on October 19th, you all may know that also, there will be another candidate debate for the Board of Ed moderated by the league. Not, I won't be here, that's somebody else. Otherwise, the recording is available on many, many websites. I know that's on the publicity as well as the league website, so do make use of it. Do not cut any of it and paste it in. We have had that problem, which is why we need to say it. Not here, not Saddlebrook. Thank you for having us.
My name is Joe Rivaro. I live at 324 Mayo Street across from the high school. I'd like to congratulate the moderator and the candidate for a fine job. Now, I've been in this town since 1956 and we've come a long way. When I came in this town, that little Chinese place next to St. Philip's was the town hall. If it wasn't, I know the clerk was there. Now look where we are now. We're putting up a great building, and as far as trying to stop them, if you wanted to stop them, you could have had a petition. We did that against the little building that we have now. We had a petition, we won the petition, but then the council found enough money to build it anyway. So that's all I want to say, and I wish you all a good luck.
Thank you.
Good job, Joe.